Hi, I'm Mark Applebaum, and I'm the composer of this piece for the Kronos Quartet called Flashlight. And I've been asked to introduce some of the techniques in this piece, and specifically the hand gestures, which are undertaken by the cellist towards the end of the piece from rehearsal R. Those hand gestures, I'm going to demonstrate them. They're explained in loving detail in the score. At the same time, it's still not entirely clear to some performers what it is that I mean, so I'll actually demonstrate them on camera for you. But before I do that, I just wanted to mention something, which is that those hand gestures and all of the other kind of absurd, somewhat idiosyncratic, composed theater activities in the piece have to be undertaken in a serious and non-histrionic manner. It doesn't work at all if the players try to ham it up, if they try to make it some sort of big thespian sort of gesture. These things just have to be very, very plain. They just simply happen. They are, in a sense, funny. There is something certainly ludic, something playful about that, about those things, and certainly something absurd, but that becomes a really tedious and fatiguing thing to see players try to project that absurdity. The events themselves are sufficient. So anyway, that's just a statement I wanted to make, encouraging interpreters to make a very prosaic, quotidian, plain realization of these various events. So now to the hand gestures. The cellist who will be in profile to the audience at a certain point will turn to prepare, the instrument will be set down and will turn to prepare for these various hand gestures. So now the cellist is facing the audience and is off book, as it were, is not looking at the score. And that's extremely important, to just have a kind of blank stare at the audience. I encourage the player to pick a point and almost in an unfocused manner, but keep the eyes on some sort of point in or above the audience. First gesture is Superman. It looks like this. So the hands stretched straight out. The fingertips are not limp. They're straight, and they're firm, and they're together, and it's just straight out. And these things need to be popped rhythmically. So it doesn't look like this. It goes, it's quite sudden. And then rowboat, grasping two imaginary oars and pulling back to the side. So we have Superman, rowboat, rowboat, Superman, rowboat. The next one is earwax. This is, and I should mention that in the score, hand gestures that the little pictographic icon that suggests a hand gesture, when it's on the line, that's a two-handed gesture. When it's below the line, it's a one-handed gesture, as in the case of earwax. And when it's above the line, as in the case of takeoff, that's a right-handed gesture. So earwax is to the side. It's like you don't actually touch your ear. You don't do this. You stay about 2 inches, maybe this far away from the head. And there's a snapping motion. It can be done like this. There could be a reciprocating 1, 2, 3 sort of quality on the 30-second notes. But it's off to the side this way. Takeoff starts here on this side of the torso. It goes across the body straight for a while, and then it moves up in this sort of parabolic shape. So that's takeoff. Next we have Give Me Money, which is simply like this. Dart, hand, outstretched hand, palm up. Dart throw, which is this. So I'm imagining I'm holding some sort of dart and throwing it straight. And again, this is a very crisp thing. Into wishbone pull. Wishbone from a turkey is probably a little smaller. You'll probably have an exaggerated large wishbone. So it could be this far apart, all the way down to this far, somewhere in here. And then there's an upward snapping motion. It really has to be, you have to show that rhythm. And then, you know, pinkies can be out if you want to give a little bit more of a sort of a throw. Karate chop looks like this. just straight down, like smell grapefruit, sort of holding some sort of half of a grapefruit, like here. You don't actually, by the way, for these things, the face is not like modified in any way. So it's not like dart throw and hooray, I got it a bullseye. No, it's a flat affect. So similarly, the smell grapefruit is just the hand is preparing for the smelling of a grapefruit. There's no inhalation through the nose to actually smell the grapefruit. It's just that you're holding it in that position. And again, these names are simply for a kind of a fluency so that the player can kind of remember them. I could describe this as cupping shape with the hand face up and the fingers curved and at this angle and so many degrees and so forth. But I just figure if you can imagine half a grapefruit, that's gonna serve you better. Binoculars is this. So tube-shaped kinds of things, thumb to index finger, and then sort of tubes in front of the eyes, staring straight out. Next we have bus stop. That's in the right hand. So you're imagining a chord. It's way up here. You know, not way up, but pretty far up, and then you're grasping it and pulling down a few inches in a sharp motion. We've got left turn, like you're a bicyclist or motorist indicating a turn. So that's pretty simple. But again, you know, this kind of flaccid, inarticulate hand just doesn't work for this kind of piece. This aesthetic is like, it's like a very crisp, severe hand. And not only that, it doesn't just kind of get there. It's, you know, it shows up very crisply. And then we're going to have peppermill, which is this. So we're grabbing some sort of peppermill, and then we're turning the crank on the top. And, you know, if the hand does this, it just doesn't look like you're really manipulating something. We don't believe it. So it's got to really be, kind of have there's muscles that are tensed and as we do this. So those are the gestures. I think I got them all. Let's do that again. So we have Superman, rowboat, rowboat, Superman, Superman, rowboat, rowboat, Superman, rowboat, earwax, rowboat, rowboat. Take off. Then give me money, dart throw, wishbone pull, karate chop, smell grapefruit, binoculars. By the way, this should look terrible to you. This is not what you want. You don't want to see the side of my head and me looking at some sort of score. Bus stop, left turn, peppermill. And I think those are all the things. I mean, just take this. So give me money, dart throw, wishbone pull. Okay? Think about the difference between this and this. It's just visually arresting when I'm just like staring blankly and I've got all of this memorized. So with that, those are the hand gestures for Flashlight. I hope you enjoy the madness and absurdity, maybe idiocy, that comprises my piece. I hope you have fun with it. It's been a pleasure to write it for KRONOS Quartet and work with them.